Hello, and welcome to another edition of Journey to Stewardship, where we learn to be good stewards of what God has entrusted to us. I'm your host, the Reverend Doctor, and tonight I have a kind of a different take on being a steward, a little different take on being a steward, and that is, it is appropriate to ask people how you can help them. If you see somebody in need, you can ask them, how can you help? And really, without really getting into their business, you just want to ask them, how can you help? And and being a good steward, you ask people how you can help them. That's what God put us here for, to help our fellow man. All of us need help at some time in our life, and somebody probably asks us, well, what do you need me to do? How can I help? So it's okay. It's okay to ask people how you can help them. It's okay to do that without getting in their business. Now, there's a difference between trying to get in somebody's business and really helping them out. If they say they need something and you can provide it, then provide it for them. If they want to tell you what's wrong, then they'll tell you. Other than that, just help them. And I got some scripture today, some very familiar scripture on it's okay. It's okay to ask somebody, how can you help them? Well, the first one is Nehemiah chapter 2. Nehemiah chapter 2. And you got to remember now, Nehemiah was the king's cupbearer. What that means is the king would not eat anything or drink anything unless Nehemiah said it was okay. And he was captive. So that meant the king trusted him more than he trusted his own people. Even the people closest to him, even the queen. He didn't trust anybody, but he trusted Nehemiah. Nehemiah was the cupbearer. And I'm reading from the King James Version this evening. And it came to pass, in the month Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes the king, that wine was before him, and I took up the wine and gave it unto the king. Now I had been before time sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said unto me, why is thy countenance sad, seeing thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then I was very sore afraid, and said unto the king, let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad, when the city, the place of my father's sepulchres, lieth waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire? Then the king said unto me, for what dost thou make request? So I prayed to the God of heaven, and I said unto the king, if it please the king, and if thy servant has found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldest send me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchre, that I may build it. And the king said unto me, the queen also sitting by him, for how long shall thy journey be, and when wilt thou return? So it pleased the king to send me, and I set a time. Moreover, I said unto the king, if it please the king, let letters be given me to the governors beyond the river, that they may convey me over till I come unto Judah. And a letter also unto Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the palace, which appertain to the house, and for the wall of the city, and for the house that I shall enter into. And the king granted me according to the good hand of my God upon me. Now here Nehemiah got news that Judah was in ruin. And he was sad about it. And the king saw he was sad. So the king said, what is it that's wrong with you? And he told him that I want my city, if it pleased the king, that I could go back and build my city. And he asked the king asked him, well, what can I do to help? He said, you can, let me go, and when I go, send letters to the governors beyond the river so that they'll give me safe passage. And a letter to the keeper of your forest so that I can get timber to build. So the king said, well, how can I help you? And he helped him with letters and timber. And we know that Nehemiah went back, and if you read the story of Nehemiah, they're going back and rebuilding the wall. But here is the thing that was okay for the king to ask the servant, what could he do to help? Now the servant, Nehemiah, was the cupbearer. Now he trusted Nehemiah, so much so, until he would not eat anything or he would not drink anything until Nehemiah said it was okay. Now that's trust. He didn't even trust the queen. He didn't even trust anybody on his side. He trusted Nehemiah, the slave. And he asked him, why are you sad? And what can I do to help? And he did. He gave him letters to give to the governors on the other side of the river so that he'd give him safe passage. He gave him a letter to Asaph at the forest to give him timber. It's okay if you ask somebody how you can help, because they'll tell you how they can help. Nehemiah told him how he could help. The next scripture is Matthew chapter 20. I got my trusted device here, trusted electronic device. Suppose the word is working pretty good. Matthew 20, starting at verse 30. Matthew chapter 20, starting at verse 30. And behold, two blind men sitting by the wayside, when they heard that Jesus passed by, cried out, saying, have mercy on us, O Lord, thou Son of David. And the multitude rebuked them, because they should hold their peace. But they cried the more, saying, have mercy on us, O Lord, thou Son of David. And Jesus stood still and called them and said, what will ye that I shall do unto you? They said unto him, Lord, that our eyes may be open. So Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes. And immediately their eyes received sight, and they followed him. Now, again, Jesus, asked, what can I do for you? They called on Jesus. They heard him. They're blind. They heard Jesus. They heard his voice. They heard the multitude. And when they heard that Jesus was close by, they cried out to him. But the crowd told them to be quiet, but they cried even louder. And Jesus heard them. And Jesus said, what will ye that I shall do unto you? He asked him, how can I help you? How can I help you? Now Jesus asking the blind men, how can I help you? You cried out. You said you needed help. From your cries, you need help. What is it that I can do for you? And the only thing they asked for was their sight, that their eyes may be open. That's all they asked for. They didn't ask for no money. They didn't ask for no house. They didn't ask for no car. The stuff we asked for, they didn't ask for that. All they wanted was their sight. And Jesus had compassion on them, touched their eyes, and immediately they received sight and they followed him. Jesus asked them, what can I do for you? How can I help you? How can I help you? And it's okay to ask how I can help you. The next scripture is Mark chapter 10, starting at verse 51. We really want to start Verse 47. Let's go to 40. Let's start at verse 47. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. And many charged him that he should hold his peace. But he cried the more a great deal, thou son of David, have mercy on me. And Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. And they called the blind man, saying unto him, Be of good comfort, rise, he calleth thee. And he, casting away his garment, rose and came to Jesus. And Jesus answered and said unto him, What wilt thou that I should do unto thee? The blind man said unto him, Lord, that I may receive my sight. And Jesus said unto him, Go thy way, thy faith hath made thee whole. And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus in the way. Now here was a blind man. Okay? And his name was Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, by the wayside begging. But he heard Jesus. And he cried to Jesus. Jesus, Jesus. And then the people told him to shut up. He's a beggar. And so he cried even louder. And then Jesus said, Bring him to me. And then they told him, they said, Look, Jesus called you. You got to get up and go over there. And he took off his garment and he went to Jesus. And Jesus asked him, What can I do to help you? You need help. You came to me. What can I do to help you? And he said to Jesus, That I may receive my sight. And Jesus said, Go your way, thy faith hath healed me. He had faith in Jesus that Jesus would heal him. But then he even never would have got that if he even cried to Jesus and called him out, called his name. And then Jesus, if Jesus didn't stop and say, Bring him to me, he wouldn't have got his blessing. So you see, we also need to let people know that we need help. And when they ask us, How can I help you? Tell them. If they can help you, they can. If they can't, they probably can't, but they can find somebody who can. See, people don't have to do things for you. They really don't. They don't have to help you. They want to help you. People that help you want to help you. And they ask you for a reason so they can see how they can help you. So today I ask, as a good steward, it's okay to ask people without getting in their business. It's okay to ask people, how can you help? And when they tell you, 9 times out of 10, you're able to do that. You're able to do that. The king was able to grant Nehemiah his passes, his letters of passage, and gave him timber. The 2 blind men, they asked, they received their sight. In Mark, the one blind man that cried out, knowing his faith. Jesus said, your faith has healed you. Your faith has made thee whole. He had faith in Jesus. But Jesus asked him, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? So it's okay to ask people. It's okay. It's okay to ask people how you can help. Now, another thing I want to tell you is, don't ask them if you ain't trying to help them. Don't ask them if you're not trying to help them. You know, we love to say things like, anything you need, give me a call. You don't really mean that. We usually say that at funerals and, you go by in the family, it's something you want to say nice, you say, anything you need, just give me a call. You really don't need that. You really don't mean that. Because what if one might ask you, well, I need my house painted. Can you come over and paint my house? whatever. And I'm just saying, if you're going to ask them, be ready to help them. If you're not in a position to help them, find somebody who can. Find somebody who can. It's okay. As a good steward, it's okay to ask people how you can help them. That's being a good steward. Are you being a good steward? Are you being a good steward? Well, I'm the Reverend Doctor, and this has been another edition of Journey to Stewardship. And I always sign off by saying, well done, thy good and faithful servant.